Look, I'm a physician, and I need to have a serious talk with you. I'm seeing something in my hospital every single month that just shouldn't be happening. Colon cancer, in people who should have decades of healthy life ahead of them.
You know, when I was in medical school, a case like this, a patient under 50 with colorectal cancer, it was so rare we'd literally presented at grand rounds. It was a genuine medical curiosity.
And now, today, I see them in my emergency department every single month. And let's be clear, this is not some new genetic epidemic. The evidence is pointing right at what's on our plates, and maybe more importantly, what's been missing from them for years. So before we go any further, just think about what you ate today. Seriously, no judgment here. This is about understanding, because everything I'm about to share connects right back to choices you're already making.
All right, let's get into some battlefield intelligence. To fight an enemy, you have to understand its tactics. And here's the most critical piece of intel you need to know. Something like 85 to 90% of cancers, they're not written in your genetic code. Nope. They are driven by our environment. And the biggest driver? Our diet.
Okay, take a good look at this. This isn't just my opinion as a doctor. This is straight from the World Health Organization. They classify processed meats, we're talking hot dogs, bacon, deli meat, in the exact same cancer-causing category as cigarettes. Just let that sink in for a second. This is not controversial. It's a globally recognized fact.
So what does that actually mean for you? Well, let's make it real. Every 50 grams of processed meat you eat daily. And that's not a lot. That's maybe 2 slices of deli meat or just 1 hot dog. That increases your risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. And here's why. You've got these compounds, things like nitrosamines. They literally park themselves in your colon for hours, just sitting there, causing inflammation and damaging the very cells that line your gut.
Okay, I need you to listen to me very carefully on this. This is important. If you have blood in your stool, if you notice persistent changes in your bowel habits, or you're losing weight and you don't know why, these are not wait-and-see symptoms. These are red flags. They demand immediate medical attention. Do not wait. Get screened. Okay, so we understand the threat. Now let's talk tactics. How do we fight back? Well, we can cut off the enemy's supply lines. See, every tumor has an Achilles heel. It absolutely cannot grow without a blood supply. It has to be fed. And here's the beautiful part. Your body has these incredible natural defense systems. And your diet, it's the switch. It either activates them or it suppresses them. There is no neutral ground here. Your body has this brilliant process for growing new blood vessels. It's called angiogenesis. We need it to heal, to repair ourselves. It's a good thing. But cancer? Well, cancer is a master hijacker. It seizes control of this very system to build its own private highways, funneling all the nutrients and oxygen it needs to grow. This right here, this is the switch. On one side, you have a tumor without blood vessels. It's essentially harmless, stuck at the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen indefinitely. But then, look at the other side. Once it hijacks that blood supply, its growth becomes explosive. We're talking 16,000 times its original size in about 2 weeks. That's the difference.
But here's the good news. This is where we can fight back. We have an arsenal of foods that literally cut the tumor's supply lines. They're what we call anti-angiogenic. And the science is there. For instance, one major study showed that women who drank green tea just 3 times a week had a 27% lower risk of colorectal cancer. That's a huge impact from a simple choice.
Now, a quick warning here. I see patients make this mistake all the time. You cannot supplement your way out of a poor diet. It just doesn't work. And here's why. A whole food, like broccoli or a tomato, contains thousands of compounds that all work together. It's like a symphony. When you isolate just one of those compounds and stick it in a pill, you lose the entire orchestra. That synergy, a lab just can't replicate it.
All right, so we've talked about starving the tumor, cutting off its supply lines. Now let's talk about bringing in the cavalry. Let's talk about our single most powerful ally in this fight, our own immune system. And this leads us to one of the most exciting breakthroughs in modern cancer treatment, immunotherapy. And the key to whether it works or not, well, it's something surprising. It lives inside your gut.
Back in 2017, researchers at a world-class cancer center studied about 200 patients. All of them had advanced stage 4 cancer, and all of them got the same cutting-edge immunotherapy. For some, it was like a miracle, complete remission. For others, nothing. The treatment failed. The researchers desperately looked for what made the difference, and they found only one single thing that predicted who would live.
It wasn't their genes. It wasn't their age or what treatments they'd had before. The only significant difference, the variable that separated remission from failure, was a single type of gut bacteria called Akkermansia. Think about that. If you had high levels of it, the immunotherapy worked. If you didn't, it failed. Period.
And this is where the power shifts right back to you. Because this isn't some complex medical procedure. You can actively cultivate this critical ally in your own gut. For example, studies have shown that something as simple as drinking 8 ounces of pomegranate juice a day can increase your Akkermansia levels 6-fold in just 3 weeks. Now contrast that with a single course of antibiotics, which can basically wipe it out completely.
Okay, another really important warning. This is non-negotiable. If you are receiving chemotherapy or immunotherapy, you absolutely must discuss all dietary changes with your oncologist before you make them. Your diet becomes part of your treatment plan, and your whole medical team needs to be in the loop. Please, talk to them.
I want to share a real story with you. It's from a listener named Margaret. Her husband was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, and she told me that in all their time with his oncologist, he had never once been asked what he ate. Not once. So they took matters into their own hands. After working to rebuild his Akkermansia through his diet, he actually became eligible for an immunotherapy that he hadn't qualified for before. A single dietary shift opened a door that was previously closed.
Okay, so what does this all mean for you today? Here is the battle plan. This isn't about abstract science anymore. This is about what you can do to arm your body's defenses, starting with your very next meal.
This is your high-impact protocol. It's built on all the science we just talked about. We need fiber from things like beans and legumes. We need polyphenols. You get those from berries and green tea. We need anti-inflammatory omega-3s from seafood, cruciferous veggies like broccoli, healthy fats like olive oil, and even whole soy. It's the consistency with these high-impact foods that really activates those protective pathways. Now, don't let that list overwhelm you. You don't have to do it all at once. Just start here. These are your first orders. Today, add 1 cup of cooked beans to a meal. Tomorrow, add a cup of berries to your breakfast. This week, brew some green tea. I promise you, these are not small changes. They are powerful strategic moves that switch on the very defenses your body already has.
And this brings me to my final and perhaps most important warning. Colon cancer is highly treatable when we catch it early, but it is fatal when it's caught late. Please, do not skip your screening just because you feel fine. Your cancer risk is not just written in your genes. It is shaped every single day by what you choose to eat.
So look, the question isn't whether your body can defend itself. It can. These incredible defense systems are built into you right now. The only question is whether you're going to give your body what it needs to do its job. The choice to activate them, that's yours.
We're going to jump right into a really startling idea today. What if there's a hidden factor, an entire living world inside your body right now that could literally mean the difference between life and death when you're fighting cancer? And look, this isn't some sci-fi concept. This is a new reality, and it's changing absolutely everything.
So let's frame it with this question. Just imagine a patient. They're getting a revolutionary new cancer drug, the kind of thing that has the potential to wipe out stage 4 cancer completely. Now, imagine it just doesn't work. Not because the drug is bad, not because of the patient's genetics, but because of the trillions of tiny organisms living in their gut. And this is not just some what-if scenario. Back in 2017, researchers in France were looking at patients undergoing immunotherapy. For some, it was like a miracle cure. For others, nothing. The exact same treatment. They looked at everything. And you know what they found? just one single significant difference between the two groups. It was their gut bacteria. I mean, that's just a stunning finding that shows how critical this internal world really is.
Okay, so let's get into what this deciding factor actually is. We're talking about your gut microbiome, this huge living ecosystem inside you that has a massive say in your health.
To really get your head around the scale here, just look at that number. 38 trillion? That is more than the number of stars in our entire galaxy. We're not talking about a few germs here and there. This is a massive, bustling community. It's basically a whole other organ that weighs about as much as your brain, and it's constantly talking to your immune system.
And you know, within this giant community, you've got your superstar players. That French study pointed to this one species in particular, Akkermansia muciniphila, as being the absolute hero. Patients who had lots of Akkermansia, they responded to the treatment. The ones who didn't, they didn't respond. You can think of it like a guardian of your gut lining, keeping everything strong and healthy. So, if this ecosystem is so incredibly important, what's been happening to it? Well, here's the tough part. The hard truth is that over the last 50 years or so, especially in the Western world, we've basically been systematically wrecking this vital system. This assault really comes from three main directions. First, you've got the typical Western diet. It's packed with ultra-processed foods that are super low in fiber, which essentially starves all the good bacteria. Second, broad-spectrum antibiotics. Now, they can be lifesavers for sure, but they also act like a bomb in your gut, wiping out crucial species like Akkermansia. And third, there's chronic stress, which just floods our system with cortisol and completely throws off the balance of our gut. So when you put all that together, the result has a medical name. It's called dysbiosis. It's just a state of microbial imbalance. And what we're seeing in the research again and again is that this state is a direct precursor to things like colorectal cancer, and it's a huge reason why these powerful cancer treatments can end up failing. Okay, so that was the pretty bleak news. But here's the good news. This is not a lost cause. We can actually rebuild this ecosystem. But the very first thing you have to understand is that the answer is not as simple as just grabbing a probiotic pill off the shelf of the grocery store. This analogy just nails it perfectly. Taking a probiotic without changing your diet is like dumping a bunch of fish into a polluted river. They're not going to survive. The new bacteria, they just can't set up shop unless the environment is right. So the real key is to clean the water first. You have to change the gut environment with your diet, so the good guys can actually move in and thrive. So what does cleaning the water actually mean? What does it take? It comes down to one thing: prebiotic fiber. That's it. This is the fuel. It's the food that your good gut bacteria need to eat to do their jobs and protect you. It's the absolute non-negotiable foundation for rebuilding your microbiome. All right, so how do we take this and make it practical, like right now? Let's actually build an anti-cancer shopping list. We're talking specific science-backed foods you can start adding to your cart this week that can truly start to transform your gut. Here are some of the real heavy hitters. You've got cooked and then cooled legumes, things like lentils or black beans. Cooling them creates this special kind of resistant starch that Akkermansia just loves. Oats are fantastic for their beta-glucan fiber. Pomegranates, walnuts, even things like dried chili flakes, all of them have these unique compounds that feed very specific beneficial bacteria. The goal here isn't to be perfect overnight, it's just to start consistently adding these powerful foods into your rotation. And if you want to see the power of just one single change, look at this. Studies have shown that just drinking some pure pomegranate juice every day for only 3 weeks can increase your Akkermansia levels by 6 times. A 6-fold increase. That's not some tiny tweak. That is a radical transformation of your gut from one simple, pretty delicious change. But look, it's not just about any one food. It's really about variety. And this chart really hammers home what they call the 30 plant foods a week rule. It's not just about how much fiber you get, it's about how many different kinds you get. The jump in microbial diversity when you go from eating fewer than 10 different plant foods a week to more than 30 is just
It's huge. And remember, little things count. Herbs, spices, they all count towards your total. And, this isn't just a theory. Let's talk about Robert, a real guy from Phoenix who was terrified his cancer would come back. He started with these small, consistent changes. Week 1, he added some lentils. Week 2, pomegranate juice. Then he started rotating different nuts and berries. After just 12 weeks, his bacterial diversity shot up by 40%. His inflammation markers plummeted. He said he finally felt like his body was on his side again.
Now, rebuilding your gut is an incredibly powerful first step, but it's not the whole story. We gotta zoom out and see how this fits into the bigger picture. It's all about reactivating an entire integrated defense system that connects your gut, your immune system, and, believe it or not, your sleep.
This connection right here might be the most surprising one of all. Your microbiome, it turns out, has its own daily rhythm, a circadian rhythm just like you do. And when you pull an all-nighter or even just have one really bad night of sleep, you throw that rhythm into total chaos. In fact, your microbial diversity can measurably drop by the very next morning. This just goes to show you that getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, it's not a luxury. It's a non-negotiable biological need for the very system we're trying to build back up.
So here's the point. You have to see this all as one integrated plan. You eat your 30-plus plant foods a week to fuel that microbiome. You eat things like green tea and cooked tomatoes to fight something called angiogenesis, which is how tumors get a blood supply. You get that solid 7 to 8 hours of sleep to support your gut's rhythm. And you move your body every day. Every one of these actions supports a different but connected part of your body's defense system. So I'm just going to leave you with this final thought. Those patients who beat the odds, they weren't just the lucky ones. They were the ones who actively gave their bodies what was needed to join the fight. Your body has these amazing defense systems already built in, just waiting to be switched on. The only question is, are you giving it the tools it needs to do its job?
Okay, let's forget all the confusing headlines and those crazy fad diets for a minute. Today, we're going to build the ultimate anti-cancer plate, and it's all based on solid science. This isn't just about eating healthy in some vague sense. Nope. This is about strategically picking foods that actually switch on your body's own natural defenses against disease. So let's get right into it.
In a world that's just flooded with conflicting health advice, this is the one question I hear more than any other. And I get it. It's confusing. So today, we're going to cut right through all that noise and answer that question directly. No complicated rules, just a simple, powerful plate of food.
Let's just bust a huge myth right here, right now. The idea that you need to buy expensive, exotic superfoods or totally overhaul your entire life to eat this way, it's just not true. Honestly, the most powerful cancer-fighting foods are probably sitting in your local grocery store right now. The only thing standing in the way is knowing what they are, and we're about to fix that.
So what we're about to put together here isn't just some random list of healthy foods. You have to understand that this is a targeted protocol. It's specifically designed to support the 3 main defense systems your body already has to fight off cancer.
Think of these 3 things as your body's elite security team. First, you've got your immune cells. They are constantly on patrol, looking for and taking out any abnormal cells they find. Second, your body has this amazing built-in system to cut off the blood supply to tumors, basically starving them out. And third, your gut microbiome. That's like the command center for your entire immune system. Our goal? We're going to fuel all 3. Now that second defense, anti-angiogenesis, is an absolute game changer. I mean, think about it. A tumor without a blood supply is like a fire without oxygen. It just can't grow. It stays tiny and harmless. By eating foods that block this process, we can keep these microscopic threats from ever becoming a real danger. All right, so now that we get the why, let's dive into the fun part, the what. We're going to start building our plate, and we'll begin with the one single nutrient that almost everyone is missing. And trust me, it's a big one.
Just take a look at this. We need about 30 grams of fiber every single day. The average person, they're getting maybe 15 grams, less than half of what we need. And you know, this isn't just a small gap, it's a massive problem. It basically creates an environment where inflammation can just run wild, leaving our defenses totally vulnerable.
30%. Just look at that number. Let it sink in for a second. This comes from a really groundbreaking study on cancer patients, and it represents a huge, huge drop in mortality. So, what was the magic bullet that did this?
You are not going to believe this. For every 5 grams of fiber they added to their diet, and we're talking about the amount in a single pair, mortality dropped by a staggering 30%. That's just incredible. It's absolute proof that these small, consistent changes can have a massive impact.
So how do we get more fiber? It's so much easier than you think. A big, hearty bowl of lentil soup or a delicious black bean burger can get you halfway to your daily goal, just like that. And for breakfast, a warm bowl of oatmeal with your favorite berries is pretty much the perfect way to start your day and get that immune system activated.
You know, this right here is a perfect example of how cooking can actually unlock the power of food. Think of lycopene, that amazing compound in tomatoes, as being trapped inside a locked room when it's raw. While cooking it, especially with a little bit of olive oil, is like the key that opens the door and lets your body absorb all of its incredible anti-cancer benefits.
100 times. No, that is not a typo. That is the difference in the anti-cancer power between a really healthy vegetable and its tiny little seedling.
Sulforaphane is this amazing compound that works like a switch, turning on your body's own detox systems to help clear out all the harmful stuff. And broccoli sprouts are just packed with it. We're talking about a small sprinkle on your salad or in a smoothie just a few times a week. That's all it takes to give your body a major protective boost.
Okay, let's add a few more superstars to our plate. Green tea and whole soy foods like edamame or tofu, they're a powerhouse duo for cutting off that tumor blood supply we talked about. Pomegranate is really unique. Its compounds, called elegotannins, specifically feed the good gut bacteria that support your immune system. And extra virgin olive oil? It's got oleocanthal, a natural anti-inflammatory. That's what gives really good olive oil that peppery kick in the back of your throat.
Look, remember, this isn't about being perfect. It's really just about creating a healthy rhythm. You could blend some berries, pomegranate juice, and even ground flaxseed into a morning smoothie. Have a cup of green tea in the afternoon. It really all adds up. Just aim for consistency, not perfection, and you'll be well on your way to building a really powerful anti-cancer plate.
Now, I want to share a quick story with you. It's about a patient of mine named Diane. And it's just such a powerful reminder of how these small changes can make a massive difference in real life.
Diane was really scared. I mean, her colonoscopy found precancerous polyps, and with her family history, she felt like a ticking time bomb. But instead of just waiting and worrying, she decided to take action. We started small, just swapping her usual breakfast for oatmeal and berries. Then, she started using a bit more olive oil in her cooking, and a few weeks later, adding a little handful of broccoli sprouts to her salads. A year later, her follow-up was completely clear. No new polyps, and her gut health was better than ever. Diane is just living proof that you can change your health, one plate at a time.
Okay, before we wrap this up, I want to be crystal clear about two things. This information is incredibly powerful, but it's not a magic cure.
People always ask, can I just take a supplement? And the honest answer is, you can't supplement your way to good health. See, a blueberry is like a symphony orchestra with hundreds of different compounds all working together in perfect harmony. A supplement, that's like a single violin playing a solo. It might be good, but it's just not the same as the full orchestra.
And I absolutely cannot stress this enough. This is not a replacement for medical treatment. If you have an active disease, you must work with your doctor and your oncology team. This way of eating is a powerful tool for prevention and support, but it is not a cure. And if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, please do not wait. See a doctor. Early detection saves lives, and your health is just too important to ignore these kinds of warning signs. You know, every single meal is a choice. You can choose to eat things that feed disease, or you can choose to eat things that feed your health. The power is literally right there on your plate.
So the only question is, what will you choose for your next meal?